Hey YouTube, how you doing? It's Max. This one is this video is actually not going to be part of the 100 videos challenge. So this may not be one of the first 100 videos I make, but I wanted to get a jump start on this second series that I was planning to do. It's so my first videos that I've put on this channel are 100 videos of me just kind of doing whatever I want. They could be just videos that existed on my phone of events that we've done, me and people that I know, my friends, family, just life events. It could be just me talking from the computer as I'm doing now, me doing cringe, you know tier lists and stuff, all that kind of stuff. And this one I wanted it to be a bit more focused on something. And so in the past, I've made a couple of video games, so I kind of wanted to go through this series to be a process that I just kind of step by step go through how I've made a video game. Um, and this one I'm doing a bit more formally than I have done in the past, but this is sort of the I guess how I would approach making a video game as a person who does not make video games for a living, who has not taken any coding. Well, I've taken some coding classes, but who's not, I wouldn't say I'm like super proficient in coding, right? So this is, just an average person making a video game. And so I like to make RPG games. So like there's this program you can get on Steam called RPG Maker, and I started with MV, and now they have an MZ version. I'm going to be using the RPG Maker MZ for this. If you want to make a video game, you can kind of either do whatever you want to do to make your own game, or you can see the process I'm going through. This is going to be more of a session zero, so I haven't even started working on this game. Um, I haven't gotten any. I have gotten plugins for past games that I'll probably use, but I haven't really even begun to really consider those aspects. This is me just taking out basically a Word document. I'm using OneNote instead of Word for this, but pretty much just planning out what I want. And I call this kind of like creating a scope. So if you do like project management, typically you'll make a scope, and so this is essentially what I'm doing. So I'm kind of defining the project of what I want out of it and that kind of stuff. So I start with I want to create a minimum viable product here, and this is not focusing on any of the fluff, any of the pretty aspects of the game. This is mostly just trying to narrow down. I mean, you'll see it that'll kind of define what I want, but pretty much I need to keep in mind, to keep myself on the tracks of creating this, that I need to focus on making an actual product that works, not actually just because especially when you create an RPG game, there are a lot of details, a lot of assets, and it's really easy to get sidetracked and fixated on this one feature and it just not working out, and then it kind of blows up your entire plan. So that's kind of what I want to keep on the front of my mind to create a minimum viable product. This is me kind of talking about the possibilities. So, what do I want in the game versus what is possible to create in the game? And so, what I want in the game is to basically be this adventure based role playing game. This will be like my third major project, I'd say. The first one was basically just a combat wave system game. The second one was kind of just like I mean, it was kind of like an adventure game, but it was all on one school campus. And then this one, I kind of want it to be like an actual world that you go out and explore. And so I want there to be quests and objectives. I want there to be an exploration feature. I want there to be a lot of social and dialogue to be a part of this. I want there to be combat, and this is kind of like the pillars of D&D as well. You've got quests, you've got exploration, you've got social, and you've got combat. So I kind of want that as like the core pillars of my game, and then I also have to think about what's possible to create. So I have to be cognizant of my own limitations in terms of skills, my own limitations in terms of creating art and sound and animation, so I can't really get bogged down if what I described down here is not a reality. This is a project that's not funded by anyone. This is me just doing it in my free time. I don't have anyone else. It's just me. I'm not hiring anyone. So I just need to be cognizant of these limitations. There are some plugins that I'll be utilizing, so it's not actually just me. But you know what I mean. It's not like anyone else is really focused on this project. So I can't beat myself up about things that don't turn out perfectly, that don't turn out exactly how I want them. This is just kind of remind me of that. So the next kind of areas I'm going to be talking about is plot, setting, and characters, and these are kind of the three pillars of storytelling. So for plot, I'm kind of basing this off of a Pokemon RPG game. I used to really like, I guess, how Fire Emblem Three Houses was. RuneScape I played a lot of, so these are just some ideas to kind of like get me started. And for the A plot, B plot, C plot, and D plot, I'm kind of breaking down the plot into four different categories. So the main overarching plot I want to be very similar to Pokemon. So, Pokemon is collect 8 badges, beat the Elite Four, that's the game. And I think that's a very straightforward and easy mechanic. So I'm going to just call them not badges, but quest items for now. Collect 8 quest items. And then I kind of do like this whole Manaheim Academy vibe that I've been doing in previous games. So 8 quest items in order to graduate, that might be the A plot. That's the whole reason why you're going out on this adventure, to complete these 8 missions in order to graduate. And this is kind of tying into the B plot, but I still have it in A plot. That each quest item has like a gatekeeper that needs to be defeated. That's like your gym leaders in Pokemon. And then just some notes. This is what I mean by the B plot. After this is relating to, like, how in Pokemon they have like an evil team like Team Rocket, and they show up periodically throughout your quest, as this like antagonist feature, since like the gym leaders aren't really antagonists, they're just kind of like your goal, but these are like your true antagonists. So I'm thinking maybe there's an antagonist feature or faction that shows up after the first, third, fifth, and seventh, um, and this kind of ties into the plot a bit. Um, and uh, so I'm just kind of brainstorming. I want there to be this like faction, and I go into a little bit more detail about this faction. Maybe it's like this anti-magic faction. So you're coming from this magic school or something, and what's the natural enemy of a magic school? This faction that doesn't want magic. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with that. And so what I kind of want there to be, I guess, is this choice of which faction you side. In Pokemon you've got Team Rocket, but you never have the option to join with Team Rocket. So I'm thinking maybe it makes sense to, maybe after the seventh quest item, it kind of turns into Fire Emblem Three Houses, where you have to make a choice to choose a faction. You still have to get that eighth quest item, but this quest item is going to be the key to destroying either the Magic School, which you originated from, or the anti-magic faction that seeks to destroy the magic school. So I kind of want there to be some politics there, some intrigue that kind of lets the player make a big decision that impacts the world around them, um, and also could deliver kind of a thought-provoking message. So that's where I'm kind of going with there. And I know this is a very tall order for a game. That's why I always have to kind of keep the minimum viable product at the forefront. So even if this doesn't become um, exactly how I want it to in the end, it's still listed in my scope. So I'm kind of listing what I want. If I'm not able to get to it, then I'm not able to get to it. But I shouldn't be, you know, really focusing on, like this too much. Like I shouldn't be trying to go outside the scope. I think that's a good limiting factor to keep me within the scope. Um, and then C, I want there to be some side quests that can be performed. And this is pretty much just, mini missions, helping people find their lost cat, that kind of stuff. Just some pick me ups, some dopamine hits for the player, that just help them feel like a good, adventurer. and also to maybe complement some of the actions that are going around. And then D, this isn't really plot based, but it's more mechanic based. Just this having some of the plot be this drive to get your skills up, level up things, further dopamine hits, all that kind of stuff. With the setting, I kind of want this to be a personal world building setting. So I've chosen for each quest item, there's going to be like a thematic area. So before I get into the 8 areas, I want there to be this starting area. This is like your hub. It's the Manaheim Academy, and so this is just kind of like your safe zone. Especially in like a heavy adventuring world where there's danger around every corner, I think it's important to have like a safe zone where you can always kind of feel safe. And that's what I want the Manaheim Academy to be. So there isn't really any random encounters. There might be some stuff like right off campus, but this is just pretty much your safe zone, your home base. And this is a place where you can unlock more characters. I like the idea of, in some JRPGs or whatever, it tells you who you unlock at certain points. I kind of like that choice where you can, sort of like catching Pokemon, you can kind of choose which Pokemon you want to join your party. Instead of there being Pokemon, though, I think I want it to be other students at the academy who are trying to graduate with you. So you have this kind of common interest. And as you guys are becoming friends, maybe I'll develop a banter system where you can get some personality from them, but I'm keeping that out for right now just because that's not a main focus of the minimum viable product. That's something that I can, polish up later if I want to, but just sort of having this kind of cast of characters you can choose from to help you along your journey. I think I'm going to keep it pretty small cast to begin with, just to not overwhelm myself, because I've done like 66 characters that are playable in some of my older games, and that's just a mess. So I think like 10 will be my limit to start. And then I kind of define a little bit more about like some of the amenities on the campus, and then the 4 houses to sort of further, um, distinguish these characters. And that's all kind of fluff. So I kind of have a brief note there, but that's not part of the minimum viable product. Then I've got these 8 quest areas. So I want there to be this medieval knights and castles kind of area. I want there to be this Roman architecture, kind of gladiators and mythology from Roman Mediterranean influence in the second area. I want there to be sort of this desert, kind of Egyptian, pyramids kind of vibe in an area. I want there to be this Scandinavian Vikings kind of snowy north area. And I've kind of defined some of these terms or these regions already, but this is just sort of to you know, uh, it's more about putting down the fantasy that you want to incorporate. That's kind of what this is about. Moving on, though, I've got this tropical islands or this tropical rainforest kind of area. I've got this more fantasy, elves and gnomes kind of enchanting forest kind of area. This kind of I don't know if it's really a juxtaposition, but this like kind of haunted forest. So you've got this forest full of life, and then this other forest full of decay. And I want this to be more like zombies and undead and vampires kind of vibe. And then so this one's more like spring, and this one's more like autumn, fall. Um, and then I've got this last one, which is kind of like this futuristic robots kind of thing with some Asian influence. So I think in this, I was thinking maybe there's like this, conflict between the futuristic innovation versus the preserving tradition kind of cultures clashing with each other. So I want there to be kind of like this theme, this kind of aesthetic in each of these places. But again, this is kind of not really the focus for the first part. This is just kind of like the long term scope. And then the final area, it's either going to be, I guess, this battle against the the main staff of the academy, or this battle between this Templar faction, which is against magic, that you sort of meet throughout your journey. So you have the choice to side with the people who I guess you are kind of working for initially, or do you ultimately want to change sides? And basically, you'll kind of get reasons throughout the game that will be kind of painted to why you might want to join one side versus the other side based on the player's opinions. and pretty much everyone in your party, there's not going to be a whole lot of conflict. They'll just kind of go along with what you want. So that's kind of like my plot, and then this is me just kind of defining some of the characters. So I've got some character ideas. I just chose 10 characters from my pool of created characters that I enjoy using in these kinds of things, and I have them here. And then I've got the Manaheim Professors, and I've got the Castle Guard Templar, and so the Templar will have their base kind of set up in this Area 1. I don't know if that's going to be Area 1. It might be Area 8, because that might fit better with the end game. You need that last item to do whatever it is, but that's just kind of the this is just kind of a brainstorming session zero before I even start programming anything, just writing my thoughts down. And just some thoughts about the character. In other games I've played with the idea of, maybe there is like a male character that you can be, or a female character you can be, or maybe even like this non-binary character you can be. Um, for a minimum viable product, I don't think I'm going to include that at the beginning, just because that's 2 or 3 times the programming that I'll need to do to incorporate that. And that's everything from animations to images to dialogue. So, there's probably some ways to get around that, but like I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm not like a professional programmer. So there are some personal limitations. So at the beginning, I'm just going to keep it as one male protagonist, and I've added an extra female character in the recruits, so that kind of balances out the genders. I may incorporate a non-binary character into the game, but um, that it's kind of like the cherry on top if I get to it, if that makes sense. So this is kind of my scope section of this document. I also have this notification section, so if I'm away from my computer, and I come up with an idea, I can create a notification. And pretty much this is just a title, and then with a number, and then kind of a brief idea that I have, and I can either put it into new, even though I guess all of these are new because I haven't really worked on the game yet. So these are some ideas I've had that is that would be relevant to what I want to do when I first start. So I have, create testing rooms. So I want some rooms where I can just test mechanics out. I don't have to worry about this kind of. If you have ever played like Pokemon, where they have like the strength where you move the boulder, or the cut where you cut the tree, hidden machine moves or whatever. um, I want to create like these rooms that sort of test those functions. There's also like the rooms in Pokemon where you have the like ice blocks where you step on it and it cracks a little bit, and then you step on it again and you fall through to the next room. Simple things like opening doors and going to the next room, just testing out all these mechanics and kind of finding a like kind of a core functionality to them all is what I want from this. And then when I start liking, the coding of it, then I can start copy and pasting it into these, um, I guess, final, or draft and then final settings. Um, and that will kind of make a little bit more sense as I, um, you know, get further into this process. Create the minimum viable product. So essentially, I want one room in this game where you can just collect all 8 of the key items, the quest items, and then beat the final boss. And that's like the game over screen. Just have all that, everything that's a necessary in one room. That way, I know that the game works, and then I can start moving those to where they need to be. But there is um, I can continuously just test the streamline of that functionality without having to teleport to this region, do all the stuff, then teleport to this region, collect the item eventually. So this is just a very like this is the minimum viable product that I'm trying to create first, is my main goal. I also want to have a test character. So kind of aside from the main cast, aside from the protagonist character, I want there to be this playable character that just has this one hit KO move that has everything unlocked on the character. And pretty much whenever I want to go testing, I can just, that's not like a combat related thing. I can um, just blow through every obstacle I have after I've, programmed all the stats, so I don't have to worry about like taking a lot of time to beat everything. I can just ace through everything. This character would have like the maximum speed possible and just a one hit KO destroy all move. Just a nuke that can just get me from point A to point B, teleportation, everything unlocked. So that's just kind of like a behind the scenes test character I want to work on. And then prototype tutorial. This is going to be like the main project I work on first. So before I even start working on what I want out of the game, I just want to, test all the the pillars. So the combat, I want to make sure that that makes sense and it's fluid. I want to make sure that I have an exploration kind of feature. So in this tutorial mode, there's like some items on the ground where I have to go pick those up, and that's going to reward the exploration, and also just to in the testing room make sure that that mechanic works correctly and how I want it to. Also the social functions. So in this tutorial, which is my first major project, just making sure I can get dialogue to work correctly. So that's kind of like my four starting things. So hopefully before the next video I can start getting um, making progress on these four things. I have an in progress sort of notifications folder, so this is kind of just housekeeping on my end. If since I haven't started any of these, I know that they're new, so when I'm on my phone, I can input them into this, and then after I've started working on this, or I revisit this sheet, I can move it into in progress. I know I haven't completed it yet, but I know it's not new. I know that so this is just for tracking purposes. And then completed, this notification was just to test out if I liked this folder system uh, within this program. Um, so once they're completed, I can just put the notification in here, close it up, and I can do that up here with this one too. So it's not a long list of completed. It doesn't clog up this whatever you would call that. Just doesn't clog it up. And then this is the last kind of thing that I have. Um, this might be kind of like my personal like journaling for this. That when I make these kind of videos, I can refer to these notes of what I have done. I'm really bad at usually creating devlogs in general. Hopefully that this won't be too messy, but I'll try to come up with like maybe I'll make another section that's like goals of the week, and or maybe I don't want it to be too messy up here though. So I might just, if I decide to move like create minimum viable product into completed, I can say I completed this notification for or something. This is mainly just to track things that I've done. I think this is good morale boost for yourself, just to show you what you have accomplished. Sometimes you'll, be programming for like 8 hours and you don't even really remember what you've done in those 8 hours. So I think that like this can really be kind of a good way to like track your progress of what you have accomplished so far in the project and see where you've come. So this is kind of again just the session one introduction to this sort of next challenge that I want to do after the 100 videos. I may still make those types of videos. I haven't really decided yet. Probably will, but I don't want to commit to that because I want the focus to shift to this thing. So yeah, I guess we'll see where this takes us. But yeah, have a good rest of your day, and maybe this will be something that's interesting. I don't know, but yeah, see you later.